So Helen, first, thank you for being here with us today. Some people in this room have already met you because you were at the Supreme Court on the day of oral arguments back in April. And as we've been preparing for today, of course, we found out recently about the SCOTUS decision, and it didn't go in our favor. And many people have come to know Grants Pass, or Johnson versus Grants Pass, but the original plaintiff in that case was Debra Blake.
Yes.
And Debra was more than just a plaintiff. She was someone that was your friend for a very long time and a mother figure in the community of Grants Pass. We also talked about your friend, John Francis, also known as Pajama Guy, who really, in a very tragic way, died on the streets of Grants Pass while unhoused. We have just over 2,000 people here today. So what do you want them to know about Debra Blake, about Pajama Guy, and about the unhoused community in Grants Pass as people and as humans?
I would like them to know, first of all, that they are human. We are people. And Debra Blake was a force to be reckoned with. She is one of my inspirations for being here today. She's put some drive in me that, I never knew I had inside of me. And I didn't want to see what she had started go to the wayside. I wanted to, she never got to hear the ruling because she died before the ruling came in. And I think that John Francis, he was a funny guy. He was my friend. And neither one of them deserved to be unhoused when they died. I think that it was unnecessary. If they'd had a home, he wouldn't have been out in the heat. He just dropped dead on the street walking back to his camp. So it was unnecessary. But they're people. They were my friends.
So you talked about home just now. Wouldn't have happened if they had a home. You've called Grants Pass home since the age of 4. So for over 40 years, you have been a neighbor, a friend, a community member, an employee. It's been your home for as long as you can remember. And you know the people, they know you. You're vocal, especially at City Council.
Yes, ma'am.
But there are some people that within their own communities view people who are homeless, particularly people who are homeless outdoors, as outsiders. And there's this narrative that we often hear that, those people are coming from other places and becoming homeless in our community. What do you want to say to those who believe that people who are homeless are outsiders? Because we know that that's not actually the case.
No, it's not at all, especially in Grants Pass. I grew up there, and most of the people that are homeless right now have been there all their life. They were born there, they were raised there. And for, the community of Grants Pass to call us outsiders when, pretty much we were there first. They came into our home and they forced us out of our homes because they wanted to buy property, and build these big houses and start their bed and breakfasts and stuff like that. They pushed us out of our home. They're the outsiders, not us.
So my next question for you, you have been, and we talked about how recently the city actually cut off water in the parks. You have personally been on the vicious cycle, the receiving end of the vicious cycle of criminalization having your belongings damaged, having your shelter destroyed, being fined, having to move every couple of days, and being faced with arrest for failure to move. But yet and still, you have emerged as a very vocal advocate, not just locally at City Council, not just on Twitter, but also nationally. What do you want the audience to know about what's driving you to speak up and be that advocate?
What drives me is, I do believe that everybody needs to realize that just because we're unhoused or we don't have a home, whether we live in a tent or you have a structure around you, we are still people, we are human. We breathe, we bleed, and, we are all the same. I think that, if people would just gather the concept, just let the concept go of, of those people, or they don't belong, or, they're less than, there could be a big change. There's got to be a way to bridge the gap. And I do believe when people start realizing, when they look at somebody who's homeless, don't look at the outside, because everybody has a story. They had a home once, they had a job once, and for whatever reason, something happened and it put them where they are, but it doesn't mean that they're not somebody's son, father, child, daughter, mother. It doesn't mean that they're not human and they don't belong. They deserve as much right and dignity and respect as everybody in here does. And the fact that, thank you. I believe that compassion and kindness go a long way. When you look at somebody who's homeless, instead of shunning them and saying, oh, don't go near them, it's like, look at them and say, hey, how are you doing? And let me tell you something. If you do that to somebody who's homeless, that is priceless to them. To know that somebody actually cared, to know that somebody wants to know how they're doing, to know that somebody's not just passing them by going, oh, look at that thing, If you just show care and kindness and compassion, it makes a world of difference. It is absolutely priceless to somebody who's homeless.
And did you know, up until recently, that there were people that not just care about you, but the community of Grants Pass?
No, I had no idea until I went to the Supreme Court and spoke in front of the Supreme Court. Because I remember, being on the streets off and on for so long, that feeling so alone and nobody out there cared. And then when I came to DC the first time, I was like, oh my goodness, look at all you people. There is somebody out here who does care and who does want to see something better and does want to see, a change for us.
So where do we go from here, now that the Supreme Court has sided with the city of Grants Pass? What do you think communities should be doing instead of criminalizing people who are experiencing homelessness?
Well, one of my reasons that I'm here is so I can just gather up as much knowledge as I can, so I can go back home to Grants Pass and say in front of the city council, look, what are you guys doing? Look, there's so many options out here. I want to have enough ammunition when I go back there to where I have the knowledge to be able to implement. And as far as we need to, sign bills, do legislation, we need to make sure that our governments are doing what they're supposed to be doing. $9.37 million was allotted to the city of Grants Pass for ARP money, and they want to build an $11 million swimming pool. Nothing for affordable housing, nothing at all. They are using that money for everything else except for what it's intended for. And it's not right. So I'm going to find a way to figure that one out. I'm not the smartest, but I'm not dumb. They cannot live in a swimming pool, I know that.
Right. So there are a number of people in this room today that have come from Oregon. that have similar values. What do you need them? How do you need for them to show up for you and the community of Grants Pass?
I'm pretty sure that their communities, are going through probably the same thing that Grants Pass is. Everybody across the United States is. It's not just it's not just Grants Pass. This ruling came down and it affected the entire United States. And the fact that, cities and city councils are being so cruel and so vicious towards the fact that people don't have a home and it's okay to take their belongings and it's okay to destroy them and throw them away, is just, it blows my mind that they can be so unkind. And if anybody out there, I just go to your city council and like I said, I'm learning this myself right now, but we need to get our legislation and our city government and our governors and mayors or whatever, we all need to be on the same page.
So I have had the pleasure of working in the state of Oregon for a little over 3 years with many people in this very room. And one of the things that I shared with you about that work was that regardless of what part of the state I've worked in, so from corner to corner, differences across all walks of life, race, ethnicity, political affiliation, economic status, professional background, and a variety of lived experiences. What I have learned to be true about most people in the state of Oregon is that they care deeply about solving homelessness. And when I shared that with you, I told you that it gave me a sense of hope because, for obvious reasons, Oregon's been in the news a lot lately, and not positively. But I know to be true that there are people that are making things happen behind the scenes. And that gives me a lot of hope. What is giving you hope in this moment, despite all of the bad news of late?
When the ruling came down and I had to go back out to my community and, let them know that they ruled in favor of Grants Pass, it was a pretty hard blow for Grants Pass and the homeless community. But what I told them and what I found, seeing all you guys here now, is I told them to not give up hope because there is people out there that care. There is people out there that they have our backs. I'm sitting in over 2,000 people here right now, and this is proof right here. When I got donation for water before I left from Grants Pass, when I got that donation for water, I went out and I bought 45 cases of water, and I delivered them to all the parks because there was no water and it was very hot. And but I made sure that I let the community over there that's homeless, that you guys are the ones that donated and you guys are the ones that made it happen. And there is people out there that care. There's people out there that care about us. We're not invisible. And you are the people who make it to where we have hope. We have faces now. We're just not somebody to be shunned. And you people right now are the ones who have made that happen. And I can't thank you enough.
Helen, are there any final thoughts that you want to share that we didn't have an opportunity to touch on? This is your time to say whatever you feel is on your heart.
Mostly for the homeless community out there, don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. Don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be intimidated. Don't let them bully you. Don't let them feel like you don't have a voice, because you do. There's a lot of people out there that are too afraid to because they're too afraid of the repercussions, and they need to realize, just stand up for yourself and be heard, because that's the only way that anything's going to change. It's if you use your voice, if you be heard, Don't be afraid to stand up and let them know that you are human too.
Helen, I want to thank you for
Thank you.
being out here with us today.
Thank
We're
you.
going to continue to fight this fight together.
Thank you.
I think you exude hope for the rest of us, just knowing the work that you're doing. And I want everyone to stand up for Helen. Let's celebrate her in this moment. Come on.
Thank you guys too.